Hello, I think that's working. I think that is live. I can't actually believe it's a month since I did this last, but I am here at the end of every month to do a live Q&A. So it's your opportunity to ask me any questions. If you do have any questions, please do let me know in the comments. I have some questions that subscribers have asked me or people have contacted me via my email, which you can find in the description bar of all of my videos. So I have some of those to cover, and also some news as well for future content that I'm to the page. I hope those of you who've seen it have enjoyed the new videos that I've been making. I said in last month's live that I was feeling like the content on this page was a little bit stagnant. I find with the YouTube channel, there's so much that I could say. I sometimes find it difficult to know what route to go down with regards to content. I predominantly have the main bulk of my experience in business communication, working for lots of different companies as a third party to deliver presentations on stage, online and on camera. But then I've done video work. I've got a video company. There's lots of different forms of communication that I can cover. And I had an online events company back in, it's called virtualstudio.tv. I can't even think when that would have been, 2008, maybe. So I've got a lot of experience when it comes to communications, hence why I sometimes struggle how to direct the content on this group. But some people have been so supportive and have given me some great ideas. Tommy in particular, thank you so much for all of the great ideas that you have given, and Fred as well. So I'm going to continue to do some of those review videos. The last 2 weeks I've got Steve Jobs, Casey Neistat, and Kim Kardashian. Interestingly, a lot of people had a lot of views about the Kim Kardashian video, and some people were unsure about why I chose to review that one. But I personally think it's really interesting. I think it's really interesting to see an example of maybe what you shouldn't do. For instance, with Steve Jobs, we all know he's a fantastic communicator, and I hope that video is useful and I gave some insights that maybe people haven't spoken about so much before, especially as I like to give different scenarios. So on stage, on a panel discussion, and what else did Steve Jobs? Oh, dealing with a technical issue live on stage. I think the Kim Kardashian video is really interesting to me because you can really see somebody who hasn't prepared their content. And also you can see how that person has changed in their presentation style over time. And yet there is still work to be done. So I'm trying to create stuff that is helpful, but a little bit different. And as always, if you have any ideas about people that I should analyze next, then let me know. I've got a filming day coming up on Friday, so I already have a list of people that I'd like to look at, but please, I always want to hear more. One of the questions that has come up this week, I really need to get to grips with how YouTube works in terms of the algorithm and all of that, but one of the videos that has been doing really well is all about presenting online. And in that video, I talk a little bit about notes and how to use notes. And so I've had quite a few questions this month about how you should create your notes. Now, when I'm talking about notes, I'm talking about cue cards or something that you can use that is kind of envelope size, cue card size. Hang on, here we go. I always have these, incidentally, on my desk, cue card size. And what I would do is literally, I do have a video on this, by the way, but as I've been asked several times, I will answer it. And I would literally only have 3 bullet points per cue card, And importantly, I would put the number on the card in case they drop on the floor or something happens, because getting these things back in order is a nightmare if they're not numbered. And what I would use as a note is a short sentence or a word, just as a prompt for where I am in my presentation. So cue cards work really, really well for notes. There definitely are times, another question came in about how do I feel about reading a script from a piece of paper? And the honest answer to that is not very good. I don't think you should stand and read a script from a piece of paper. I think there's a real distinction between learning a script off by heart and learning a script verbatim. I do not think you need to learn a script word for word. If you do have to deliver content word for word, then you need to use auto cue or prompt. I don't think you need to learn a script word for word. You do need to learn it off by heart. And what that means is you're practicing lots and lots of times saying it out loud so that you really drill it into your brain. And it means that you might use different words, especially when you're on stage and you're under pressure, but you know it off by heart, so it's fine. You'll get on track. You'll stay on track. You know the rhythm of the presentation, the structure of the presentation. So I don't think anybody should stand and read a script from a piece of paper. That said, sometimes there may be a quote or something. I'm looking for a piece of paper. Sometimes there may be a quote or something that you do need to read from a piece of paper. And the key thing you need to do if you are ever going to read a note from a piece of paper is, first of all, don't feel like you have to hide it. If you need to do it, let the audience see it. But also make sure that you keep the content in the top part of the piece of paper. That way, when you're looking at it, your eye line is still looking up and you're not getting that horrible thing where the audience is just looking at the top of your head because you're reading the piece of paper. So I hope that makes sense. With notes as well, the only way to really drill down on what notes work for you is to say your presentation out loud continuously, say your sales pitch out loud continuously, whatever it is, and you'll find a word or a phrase or a sentence or a statistic that just helps you remember what you need to say. So notes really work, but there's a definite distinction between what a note is and what writing your script out in full is. If you need to write your script out in full, use auto cue. Don't ever put it on a floor monitor. I detest that when speakers put a whole script on floor monitors. It means you spend the whole time looking at the floor. It's beyond irritating. So I wouldn't ever do that. As I said, for people who are joining, if you have any questions, then please do ask me in the live chat. I never know if this thing is working properly, the live chat, but yeah, if you have a question, then please, please, please do let me know. Some of the content that I was thinking about filming on Friday, which I'd be keen to get your thoughts on. As I said at the start, it's hard to know where to align the content on this channel because I feel there's so much that I could say. And I do have my online course, details are in the description. So for people who have purchased the course, I don't really want to deliver all of that content on here. That said, I'm kind of thinking about moving more towards a business style of information. So Tommy gave me the idea how to present in a board meeting, how to create a pitch presentation, sales presentations, all of that kind of thing. So that's what I was thinking about creating on Friday, and I would be interested to know what your thoughts were. And I think, yeah, that is the plan for Friday. More content that is a little bit more business aligned, and I am going to do some of those famous people, famous presenter reviews as well. So yeah, if there is anybody that you can think of, then let me know. Tommy, It's wonderful to have you here. Oh, that's a good one. How to do better when giving a training session. Yeah, I've actually been had the wonderful experience of being through a 3-day training course, which was a classic example of how not to do it. So yeah, I could definitely cover that. But Tommy, it was, I don't know if you heard me saying, it was definitely, you've given me so much inspiration for this filming day I've got on Friday. I've kind of changed my mind on some of the content that I was going to do. And I'm definitely going to, I'll tell you actually what I'm going to do. I was going to do top tips for a sales presentation. I was going to give as well advice on how to deliver bad news. I know in business in particular, especially now with everything that's happened, there's multiple people who are having to deliver bad news in companies, redundancies, that kind of thing. So I thought that might be quite helpful, although mildly depressing. What else did I have? Pitch presentation, how to do a pitch presentation. And I'm really talking about not only how to create that, but the delivery as well. I've got some great ideas around that. I pitched, I was on pitch teams for a long time. I was actually invited on pitch teams as well. So I have lots of ideas that I'd like to share on that. TED Talks. So a lot of people mentioned about doing reviews on TED Talk videos. I love TED Talks. TED Talks are pretty formulaic in their style, and they're trained that way. I've worked with people on their TED Talks. I could do like a TED Talks top tips, as in what TED Talk presenters do in terms of preparation and delivery. So that was another one that I was thinking about. Storytelling as well. I thought that was a really important one to do on Friday, because actually there is an element of that interlaced into some of the ideas around pitching and sales. So I thought about that as well. And also some of the famous people that I thought about, looking at Elon Musk, again, in multiple scenarios. Loads of people have done it, and I feel like I just want to do it because she's somebody that I think is wonderful at it. Michelle Obama, I think she's fantastic, but I want to look at some different presentations that she's done for different audiences, so I can tease out some of the things that she does. And who else did I think about? I won't give them all away. There's a really good one coming next week that I really like, of a couple, a very famous couple, but they're not presenting together. So yeah, I won't give all of that away. Angel, thank you so much for watching this. How to avoid confusion while presenting. So there's a motto that I always use, and it is keep it simple, do it well. Most people feel when they have a presentation or a bulk of time that they have to fill it with information. And especially in business, you will always find you have way more information than you need. Lots of people often giving helpful suggestions of what you should include. So that things don't get confusing, I think you really need to think about what your message is. So what it is that you want the audience to think when they leave the room. Now, you can apply that method to any kind of presenting in any situation, but that should really be the focus. What do you want the audience to think when they leave the room? And then you align your content to that. And if something doesn't fit or something confuses that message, it isn't included. So simplifying actually makes the presentation much, much better and can help with that element of confusion. I think then using the cue cards, like I said at the start, where you've got your key points written out, only 3 points to a cue card, can help in terms of making sure you stay on track. Confusion happens all the time when you're presenting, especially if you're nervous or you are under pressure, because you are trying to calmly deliver content while your brain and your body is going into fight or flight mode, and your heart's beating fast and you're sweating and you're worried if people can tell and all those things. So it's very common for people to get confused or lose their train of thought when they're presenting. Keeping it simple, doing it well, which incidentally doesn't mean dumbing it down. It's actually much harder to create a short, considered, concise presentation than it is waffling for hours on end. So keep it simple, do it well. I would definitely think about using cue cards, Angel, and really aligning everything that you're delivering to that key message of what it is you want people to think when they leave a room. Again, the other thing that can help with confusion is just saying your presentation out loud as much as you can. I cannot tell you how many people make this mistake of not saying their presentation out loud, of not delivering the content out loud before their presentation. Now, what I would say is, why would you wait for the moment when you have an audience in front of you to say it out loud? Because it's only when you say it out loud that you know really if it works or not. Saying it out loud multiple times, especially the start of your presentation, can really help, as I said earlier, just really getting it into your mind as well. So I think those are ways that you can avoid confusion. And one other thing, actually, and I see this a lot in companies, it's really easy for me to criticize how companies do things because I'm always brought in as a third party and I get to witness it. If you have an important presentation coming, I think you have to know the point at which you no longer need anybody's input and you're just rehearsing, getting ready for the performance. I see this all the time, saw this all the time when I was working on conferences and product launches, where somebody has got a presentation, they're so happy about it, they're feeling good, and then a manager, a colleague intercepts them, sometimes moments before they go on stage, and says, "Have you thought about this?" Or, "I think you should mention this." And it can completely derail you and your mind, and it can confuse you and cause confusion. I think you literally have to have a cutoff point when you're working on a big presentation in particular, where it's right, no more amends, no more fiddling and faffing, no more additions. Now I am just working on delivery and nailing this presentation. Getting intercepted with good ideas moments before you go on stage can really derail you. And I think if somebody does come to you to give you an idea, even if it's the boss, you're quite, in your right to very politely say, "Thank you so much for that feedback. Right now, I can't change the presentation. I'm happy with it. I will take full responsibility for it. I'm going with what I've got." And those people will just go, "Oh, okay, it's just an idea. Yeah, no thanks." I'm waffling now about that, but actually another video that I could do, how to deal with difficult people. Talk about this in my training, but it's worth mentioning now. When you're working on a presentation, when you're working on an event, when you're working on anything, when you're working in a company, you will always have A team members and B team members. A team members give great feedback, they're supportive, they say it as it is. B team members, it's a bit like they throw little marshmallows at you, they make comments about your presentation, they question the color of your graphic and whether brand will like it and whatever other crap, like tiny little things that make you doubt yourself. They give really bad feedback. Incidentally, if you want to see what good feedback is, look in the comments of some of my recent videos, and Tommy gives the best feedback. That is what good feedback is. Constructive advice that you can action. That is what good feedback is. Bad feedback is one way, where somebody says something like, "Your voice is really quiet," and you happen to have a very quiet speaking voice. Well, without a microphone, there's not a great deal that you can do about that. That is not good feedback. So I'm not talking about if somebody's got a normal speaking voice, by the way, and they're just not delivering well. I'm talking about somebody who has naturally got a very quiet speaking voice. So that is the difference between good and bad feedback. And B team members give bad feedback. And the B team will do whatever they can to derail your presentation. And while I'm on a roll, other B team members to typically watch out for in companies are people who do work for brand. I shouldn't probably say too many more because I know clients watch these videos. But anyway, you have to be careful of B team members and them derailing your presentation and your train of thought and everything that you've worked on and planned on with regards to your delivery. Have that cut-off point. I hope, Angel, some of that helps with that question. I'm going to leave it there unless anyone's got any other questions, because I don't want to, as I always say, wang on if nobody has any other questions, even though I could talk about this all day. Next month, I will do another Q&A at the end of the month. Also, actually, there's been a couple more questions. There's one other thing that I want to talk about as well. I'm going to write it down so I don't forget. Tommy, tell reduce confusion. Absolutely, Tommy. That's such a good idea. When somebody tries to, and to reduce that confusion. Perfect. Liners like, I'll send the details after the meeting, or let's connect to discuss the details. Exactly. When someone's asking a question that can derail a meeting, I personally think that you should plan in advance for some of that. If you're going into a presentation or a meeting, let's say you are going into a meeting where you're asking for more budget, or maybe you've got to tell the team that you're running over budget, anything like that where you think you're going to get some feedback, questions, practice answering those in advance. Get a colleague, a friend, anybody who can help fire some difficult questions at you. Practice replying to them, knowing that you don't have to answer the question. You can, as Tommy's saying here, deliver a line like, that's a great question. Now isn't the time because we're running out of time in this meeting and I want to stay focused on this point, but I will definitely answer that question and get back to you after. That kind of thing. And you can rehearse them and have plenty of them up your sleeve. And just a little, it's not a story, something that happened. Somebody who used to do that all the time and was brilliant at it was Steve Ballmer, who was CEO of Microsoft after Bill Gates. Incidentally, lovely human to work with. And he was wonderful because what he used to do on partner events where you never really knew what the Q&As were going to be like, and they could be pretty tricky and hostile actually at times. And he used to carry a piece of paper in his pocket. And when he was on the panel and somebody asked a really difficult question, he would maintain eye contact with that person the whole time, even though the auditorium may have had 1,000+ people in. It made the person feel like it was just the two of them in the room. He'd get a pen out of his pocket and his piece of paper, and he would literally write down notes. I say that I'm pausing there because I'm like, I never saw the piece of paper, but it looked really good. I'm sure he did write it down. And he would write down notes from the person who was speaking, ask their name and the company they were from, and then he would say, I don't know the answer to that question, but I will get back to you on it. And it made the person asking the question, even if it was a real hostile question, just feel good, because it's like, okay, great, my voice has been heard. That's generally what people want in a Q&A. They want to know that their voice has been heard. It wasn't being fobbed off. And yeah, it was a nice trick. It was a nice thing to do. So, for what that's worth. That's the other thing. I've got lots of stories like that of famous people that I've worked with who do good things. Some do bad things. But yeah, so I could share some of that. Angel, I'm glad that was helpful and that you didn't think I was wanging on too much there. Incidentally, wanging on is kind of like a British slang for talking too much. I think that's it. Again, wrapping up again. I will. Oh no, there was that one thing, wasn't it? That I said I need to say. Yes. Tommy, I've taken your advice on my. So I have an online course, and there's a video all about the course. And people told me to do this video in different ways, which didn't feel comfortable. And I've done it in my own way. And originally you couldn't scrub through it, and now you can. You can just bypass the lot and get to the end if you want to. So, yeah. Thank you for everybody who takes the opportunity to watch my videos, to give good feedback, to come up with ideas. I'm proud of the content on here. I want to make it better. Friday, I'm excited to make more videos. If you have any ideas, then please let me know. I want to make sure that the content that I'm creating, like, services, my subscribers' needs. Please do like videos and subscribe. One thing I do know how to do is to look at the back end of YouTube and see how many subscribers watch my videos. And I think one of my most popular videos, one of the recent ones about online public speaking, how to 5 top tips or something to deliver a great online presentation. I think 97% of the viewers aren't subscribers. So please subscribe. I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe, and I look forward to seeing you next month. There will be another video next week. And yeah, until then, I will see you soon. Thank you so much for watching.